Hello. We begin today with gratitude for Chennai Storytelling Festival and a wonderful workshop that we've just experienced. So much of practical takeaways. So I want to just invite all of you. I want to remove the spotlight first. This is better because I would like it to be a virtual circle. We are all sitting in a circle and we're going to experience the process. I would like to first invite all of you to just stand up. If you've been sitting for some time, get up, then sit down again, just maybe turn around a bit and sit down, just to kind of give your body that breather as we welcome ourselves into this space. I hope I'm not too loud. Right. Thank you. So I'm Sowmya Srinivasan. I live in Coimbatore. And today's workshop is very different from what you just experienced. So let us give a heartful thanks to what you experienced and move into this. It is meant for adults. So if there are children in this group, then please be informed that it is an adults session meant for mature audience, as they say nowadays. All right. We enter into the Eco-Heroine's journey. Now, I'm sure all of you are curious to know what is this Eco-Heroine? What's happening here? And what is this workshop all about? More than a workshop, I want to invite all of you to take this as an experience, a journey within and without. So there is, as many people may know, I work, or I hope, to bring hope into this world through using stories as a reflective tool. So that's where I come from. Taking the story, offering it to the audience, and inviting them to look at the story and look at themselves through the story. That's what I do. So today the topic is Eco-Heroine's journey. I begin with a poem by Mary Oliver. When you listen to the poem, just listen. Don't have to do anything, just listen. And once that is done, I'll ask you something. Wild Geese by Mary Oliver. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees. For 100 miles through the desert repenting, you only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clean blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things. Tell me, what is one word or phrase that stood out for you? I read it only once, I know. If you don't have any word or phrase from the poem, just share one word or phrase that comes to you listening to that poem. You can type it on the chat, or Shraddha, you can even say it out loud.
The phrase was, I think it's, no matter how lonely you are, the world calls out to you or has things to offer you, or something like that.
The first line, Priyanka, soft animal. Okay. Yes, you can put it in the chat. Heading home, soft animal of your body. You do not have to be good is the first sentence. Yes, Lipika?
Geese heading back to the home, the prairies.
Yes, he's heading back home over and over. Heading back home. All right, so with that poem, we enter the landscape of the heroine. And that is what we're going to talk about. A heroine brought Dr. Eric Miller all the way across the world to Chennai, India. He came chasing a heroine. I don't know if how many of you know this story. He came looking for a heroine. Yes, I pulled Eric into the session. Yes. Kannagi was a heroine who was spoken about in a epic, Tamil epic called Silapadigaram. And chasing her, Eric Miller came all the way to Chennai. So today my muse is a heroine. Who is this heroine? And why do we have to pay attention to the heroine? These are some of the questions that come up to us and that we probably will be exploring in the session today. And then the first part is looking at the heroine, the archetype, and the second part of the workshop is looking at the eco-heroine's journey. I'll try to do my best. It's a very short time. So the first question to all of you is, think back to your childhood, early experiences with heroines. What are the heroine stories that caught your attention as a child? Who is that heroine who inspired you? What did these stories mean to you? Can you recall a movie or a scene and what that character, who is a heroine, means to you? What does that story or that heroine mean to you in your life? And perhaps even think of what is the superpower of that heroine? There's a lot of questions. Yes, Lipika, go ahead.
Yes, it is about Tulsi in the mythology. I had seen the movie Tulsi Viva, and in that character is like she's a very devoted wife, and because of her, even if her husband was a very demon and he had cruelty and all that, but Vishnu could not destroy him. So they made a trick, and in that, Vishnu came in the form of her husband. And
No,
at
don't
that
tell me
time,
the story.
yeah,
Just
yeah.
tell me the
So,
heroine. Yeah,
yeah, that
thank
is the
you.
heroine. And I
Yeah.
feel it's so very impressive because then later I know that she became the Vrindavati we worship every day in our houses.
Okay. So
That
what
Tulsi.
does she
So
mean
that
to
is
you? What does she mean to you?
a dedication, dedication, a
Dedication.
power of dedication. Yes.
Okay. So for Lipika, the heroine she chooses brings dedication into her life. Anybody else?
Thanks.
Yes, Ambuja.
For me, it has been always Andal.
Uh-huh.
So it is that unconditional love and what do I say? Full, complete trust that
Mm-hmm.
never she had that doubt. So The trust
Okay.
and love is what comes across to me from Andal.
Okay. Okay. So for you, it is Andal who embodies trust. And
Yes.
that's something that you take into your life. Okay. Okay. And if to just to ask you, what is this trust? Is this trust on yourself or the divine, or what is this trust? Can you define that for
Okay.
yourself? I mean, if you want to share, you can share, but if for yourself, can you make that trust a little more specific?
For me, this trust is about things on the divine for me personally. So, or the higher force, how I want to call it. Things will happen when they have to happen. Just put complete trust there. So, it is divine. It is so for how do I relate with Andal is Andal never doubted. She came with a purpose and she never doubted whether she can go back. There was no yearning or longing in her life, unlike other characters which she. So she knows that she's going to go back, and the Lord is going to absorb her. And Nadula, whatever she had to do, she did with full dedication.
Okay.
So that's what speaks to me.
Trust.
Yeah.
All right. All right. The others can put it on the group, on the chat. Yes, thank you, Ambuja. So you refine that word for yourself. Whatever heroine you're choosing, what that heroine stands for you, and then you go into that journey of what that means to you in your own life. Yes, Nina.
Yeah, for me it's Jhansi Ki Rani because she was bold and confident. And bold and confident in the sense not minding what happens or what others will say, move forward with what she had to do.
Yeah, yeah. Jhansi Ki Rani and her
Yeah.
being
Mm.
brave. Okay.
Mm.
Shri Karuna.
So, in childhood, if I look back, I never gave it a serious thought, Soumya. To all the books that I read and all the comics and all, there was no heroine. It was mostly hero oriented. Even the
Yeah.
movies that I watched, Bhakta Dhruva Markandeya in Telugu is one of my topmost memory in fourth grade also. Dhruva Markandeya, everybody is like a boy kind.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think very much later in one of the Amar Chitrakada comics, I remember reading Panna's story, that Mewad, like the Panna Dai story, where to save the prince of, Mewad, she will switch her son with the prince.
Okay.
And
Okay. Okay. So,
that is,
so Panna is somebody you choose now, perhaps to
I
connect
mean,
with.
that is a top recall memory that I'm getting. What was the first heroine that came to me in my childhood, which stood with me for some time?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. So keep putting it on the chat. We will keep going through that. Who is that heroine from your childhood who you connected to? You can make a list. You can really go back, and I love that Sri Karuna said that actually didn't have many heroines in my early reading and stories, and that is something that is very true. A lot of our stories that we heard or we read had a protagonist, the main character, as this guy. Or if it was a girl in the, in the fairy tales that was fed to us, the girl is always to be rescued. The girl is somebody who has to be rescued. And it's usually you know that this is not something I have to tell. You're all storytellers. You know how these stories were given to us. So, what happened to those heroines? Where did the woman go in all of this? So, that has been my muse. And from my own journey of storytelling, I realized I love to tell stories of brave girls rescuing themselves, going on adventures, journeying. And that's how this whole exploration started, and it has come so far. And for this workshop, I made a list. And I invite all of you to make a list of all those heroine characters who stood out for you. They need not be the main character, they can be a side character or somebody else. But who are these heroines in your life? And then also ask yourself, what is the quality that this heroine is giving to me? Or why is it that I'm thinking of this heroine, or this heroine stands out for me? What is that quality in that heroine? So I'm just going to pause a little and then ask some non-Indians to answer. Maybe Eileen, since you are there in front of me and I can see you, or Moira. If you can just, Moira is not there. Eileen, if you can mention some heroine, or what that person stood for, what quality you took from that person.
Sorry, I meant to do the volume. I was raised Catholic Christian and went to a Catholic grade school and high school. And I wasn't aware of it until this workshop, that when we were to do book reports on the saints, that did influence my life, but not necessarily encourage me to be independent or bold or courageous. It was more self-sacrificing for the sake of others, and recognizing who I am now and have always been is a very empathetic, shy, gentle, quiet person. Well, those aren't qualities necessarily to have exclusively. And to have role models that are bold, that can have a voice and do have a voice. That was what was missing in my life. So that's interesting to me. Even speaking, that is not what did I have, but what was missing.
Yes, beautiful question. What did I have and what was missing?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Beautiful. These questions will inform the kind of stories we choose to tell, and that's one of the takeaways from this workshop. I keep connecting it back to what are you going to take away from this? Because I love such explorations, but what are we taking away from it? It's really how we are going to now. What is the inner work is done so that we go out and we do better work, or we have better questions to ask our our students, or the people that we are working with, or the people that we go and speak to or tell stories to. So that is one thing. Then the next is I'm going to ask you, who is your okay, for this, let us just, you can keep sharing on the chat. Who is the heroine that comes to your mind, and what is the quality you have or have not taken? Maybe you've not taken that quality, but definitely this is what I think, that if a heroine pops up in your mind, or a character, and you have definitely imbibed that character into your life in some way or the other, that's for sure. So for the next question, we're just going to close our eyes. A deep breath. I invite you to close your eyes, because when we want to go into ourselves and not be distracted by the external, it helps to just go inwards and think back of who your inner heroine is. Who is it that lives within you, inside you? It could be somebody from your life. It could be a character from a book or a movie. But within you, who is it that has integrated with you? It could be who you told right now, but it could be somebody else also. Who is your inner heroine, who occupies your inner self and who you embody many times, maybe not all the time, but many times you embody that heroine? What is her quality? Who is that inner heroine. When you are feeling you have the thread of that inner heroine in your hand, you can open your eyes and you can share. My Amma, says Renu. Sita Devi, that's for outer heroine. Yeah. Okay. Amma, Amma. Okay. Mother, 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 mother. Okay. Mother. Yes. Both my grandmothers. Okay. Mother. Great grandmother. It's interesting. Sant Tukaram's wife. Very interesting. Okay. Okay. Yes. Mother-in-law. Okay. And then what do these people, what quality of these people are we embodying? What is the quality of these people we are embodying? Yes, mother, my Guru Ma, all right. Yeah, mostly when we are asked to think of the inner heroine, we will mostly have our mothers or grandmothers, an image. For some, yeah, Anne Frank, wonderful. I'd like to ask Shukrita, did you think of Anne Frank as soon as I said, who is your inner heroine? That is the name that came up for you?
Yes, yes, very much. Yeah,
Okay.
because I'm really inspired by her journey and how she overcame adversity and how she wrote because I write myself. So, like even in such difficult times, how she made the best of her life.
Ah. Mm-hmm. Many people have shaped my life. Yes. But if we can look at one person who, you don't have to have one, you can have many, I'm sorry. Now, for our sake now, if you can, kind of look at one person at the moment who is coming up for you and what that person means to you. Your inner heroine is who you embody. Your outer heroine is who inspires you. So, do we think our heroines, the stories that our heroines tell is different from the stories our heroes tell? Do you think, it's a question to all of us, anybody wants to share anything about their inner heroine? Please, welcome to do that. Moira, would you like to say something?
I apologize, but I've got a bad cold and I have problems speaking, so I'm just listening if that's okay for you.
Sure.
Thank
No
you.
problem. No problem. Yes, Renu, I hear you. There is one or two or three or four qualities. So why I asked you to choose one person is, more than the person, there is something that you embody from that person. That quality that you're picking up from that person. That influences the kind of choices you make, the kind of ways in which you navigate this, the story of your life, the story of our life. So my outer heroines were many. As I sat for this workshop and thought through, I was so amazed at the number of people who came to my mind and how I have been actually telling their stories in one way or the other. And now when I looked at the inner heroine, yes, of course, my inner heroine was my grandmother. And one of the most beautiful stories I feel I ever wrote or told was about my grandmother's hands. And how hard working her hands were. And that is what I embody. I always want to be as hardworking as my grandmother. Hardworking hands. So the hands which never stop doing. And I think that is what I carry. Every time I'm feeling low or I feel I don't have anything to do, I pick up something to do with my hands and I think of my grandma. So this is how we are all storytellers. This is how storytelling becomes enmeshed with our lives. It's not something we do, it's something we become. We are being storytellers. So, connecting with the heroine archetype is what we're doing right now. And the heroine archetype is not understood properly, I feel. Even by ourselves, those who identify as women, we don't understand it so well. Is it only that if we are being brave and resilient and bold, we can be considered as a heroine? What about if I am being humble, or if I am being not just humble? Humble is not the right example here. What if I'm just embodying a sense of, what if I'm just listening? The heroine is a great listener. Can she become a character in your story? The heroine archetype is a collective, is an energy pattern. I'm trying to read from the notes I have. Sorry about that. It's an energy pattern that conveys at the unconscious level, which has the power to open us to ourselves. And it aligns with our collective unconscious. Understanding the heroine archetype helps us connect with ourselves and with the collective unconscious. Stories which are told nowadays, or which have been told to us, have this heroine archetype, have the heroine's journey, but we didn't know it was that, of course. We have given a lot of importance to the hero setting out on a very victorious journey, going to achieve some goal and coming back, bringing back the fruits of that victory. These are the stories that we often hear. But a heroine's journey is one which turns inwards, goes into ourselves to understand who we are, to understand why we do what we do, And so from that, the insight or the transformation is also a heroine's journey, is a heroine's journey. This idea came from a psychotherapist called Maureen Murdoch, who went away from the hero's journey by Joseph Campbell. She questioned the hero's journey and said, no, a heroine goes on a different kind of journey. Hero's journey exists, yes, and it has created some wonderful stories. But it's time now to look at the heroine's journey and create more stories filled with hope. These stories, like Eric did in the last workshop, they visualize and verbalize emotions. And that is another kind of storytelling. The Heroine's Journey by Maureen Murdoch. I'm just going to share this slide. Is very complex. So we're not going there. I'm not going there at all. Because it tells about the, psyche going in, integrating the feminine, masculine. But why should I care? The only reason why we should care is that sometimes a story or a journey looks like this. It does not have a sword-wielding hero trying to kill the villain. It does not have. It is gentler. It's softer. It's a story about me. It's a story about us. It's a story about a girl who smells the roses, who loves to talk to the plants. That is a heroine's journey. It's a story that uses the mother tongue, a language of experience, body knowing, being, conscious, emotions. This is also called a mother gaze, or the way we look at it, a feminine gaze. Again, there is no right or wrong here. It's not like you cannot tell the other kind of stories, but sometimes the father tongue, the father gaze is too rigid. It is too logical. It is too many things lined up in a row. Maybe it doesn't make sense like that. A heroine story is spiraling. It doesn't make sense in its bits and parts, but it makes sense in its entirety. And maybe that's your story. And that's a story you love to tell. Let me stop sharing this, sorry. The heroine of this story lived very, very long time ago. This is the story of Teri Kundalakesi. And she is one of the heroines of the very ancient Sangam literature, of which one of them is Silapadigaram, searching which Eric came all the way to Chennai. The story Kundalakesi is the story of a girl with locks, the most beautiful locks of hair. It was written around the 5th or 6th century by Tamil poet Kootanar. And it tells the story of a beautiful damsel who lived in the city of Puhar. Oh, she was the moon in the sky. She was a star amongst the stars, the brightest star. Her hair, dark and black, hung till her feet. She was raised by a single parent. Her father had lost his wife. She lost her mother when she was very young. So, the father indulged her every whim and fancy. When she fell in love with a man she saw on the street, yes, she fell in love with a man on the street. Her father, he was willing to sell give up his wealth to see that his daughter got what she wanted, that man. The story goes on to say that this beautiful damsel fell in love with a kallan, with a robber, and he was an ordinary robber. That's it. He was nothing actually. But she fell in love with him, and because she fell in love with him, he became somebody very beautiful, somebody amazing, and she wanted to marry only him. And she went after him, got her father to buy him off. Yes. That robber had to be bought off from the soldiers who had caught him. They had to pay the soldiers so they would release the robber. And she got married to him and she brought him home. But unfortunately, he was, after all, a robber. And he decided that he'd rather have the riches than the woman. So one day he decided to kill her. And on the pretext of visiting a temple on top of a mountain, he takes her to the top of the mountain. And that foolish man confesses to Kundalakesi, "Oh, I'm going to push you down from this mountain top. I've had enough of your whims and fancies," he tells her. Kundalakesi, the beautiful damsel with hair till her feet, in that moment snaps out of her illusions. And she says, "Give me one chance, just give me one chance. Let me go around you." In India, we go around the temple, a god. It's called circumambulating. You go around 2-3 times. It's a form of worship, devotion, to show your devotion. So she said, "Let me go around you and then you can push me off the mountain." But as she's going around, she pushes him off the mountain. She pushes him off the mountain and then decides that this life is not for her. And so she hangs her beautiful robes on a tree and she leaves from there, joins the monks and becomes a great monk herself. And the name of the story is Kundalakesi. This story is Kundalakesi, and the story that Eric chased is called Silapadigaram. This journey that I shared with you today is a heroine's journey. And this story comes to us from the 5th or 6th century from Tamil Sangam literature. So this way of telling a story already existed. We are remembering it. We are reminding ourselves that women tell stories differently. Our stories look, feel, and appear different. Our heroines are filled with emotions. And the purpose of a heroine is to bring that connection of emotions into the narrative. She brings the emotions into the narrative. So the journey of the heroine is a journey which is sparked by a need for change. When there is a dissatisfaction with the way things are, she discovers that there is a problem inside her. She also discovers a gift. She focuses on the inner world and finds ways to achieve transformation. But she also has strong allies and helpers who form her community. So the journey we need right now is not a journey of world-beating individualism. It's a journey of re-enchantment, weaving us back into the shimmering web of life. It's a journey back to the ground of our belonging and regrowth of our roots to nourish it. It is a revolution of belonging, a revolution of co-creation, a revolution of relational courage. Relational courage. And that is the heroine's journey. She brings courage by redefining what relationships mean to her. And that is the story of courage. This courage does not have, it could have, but may not have sword wielding. It may not have bloodshed, but it has courage. It's a story of courage. So Maureen Murdoch, I told you, has given us this framework. They called it Heroine's Journey, and I saw it in this very ancient tale, Kundalakesi. I'll now invite you to perhaps think back to all the stories you have told or come across, and tell me if you have come across a heroine's journey in a story. Have you come across a heroine's journey? Are you getting a sense of the heroine's journey? Yes, Eileen.
Vasilisa the Brave with
Ah,
Baba Yaga.
yes, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Beautiful. So there is a journey of finding herself. And Baba Yaga, again, is a beautiful character who is been made into an evil, but actually she's not evil. There are many places where Baba Yaga will have certain conditions and consequences, and then only the twist in the tale happens. Baba Yaga is a very, very beautiful character who brings that sense of the witch, the woman who knows everything, who knows much more. She's not a straightforward character. She's not black and white. Thank you for saying that, Eileen. And any other stories that come up to you in your mind from your folk tales? Sure. Yeah. Yes. Yes, Leena. I agree with you. That is a beautiful image. It is a heroine, and she is fighting a man's war. I'm not I'm not saying it in terms of this is wrong, that is wrong. Please don't get me wrong. It's a shift in perspective of the kind of stories and the kind of stories that have created these wars that have come up. So courage was seen as fighting, killing, getting territorial, getting my territory back. That is courage. But there is another form of courage, the heroine's courage. And it is in the stories we tell that we can bring these small moments to life. Absolutely, Jhansi Ki Rani is inspiring. She's a heroine with courage. Anybody else wants to say anything about this heroine's journey? Yes, Lipika.
Yasodhara.
Yashodhara. Can you tell more?
Yasodhara,
Oh, I love
Gautam
that.
Buddha's wife, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, she questions him that whatever you wanted to do, you could have done it here itself. Why
Yeah.
did you leave me? And it
Yes.
was your duty as a father to be at the side of your son who was just born, but you also gave it up. And gradually, then finally, she turns herself to a monk and she went on to preach Buddhism and all that. She
Yeah.
left her household thing, which she was like confined to do all that. Now she gave up that. That was the drastic change, the radical thing
Yeah.
that she could do.
Yeah, yeah. So Lipika, tell me, this story is where have you sourced that story from?
I have read it somewhere. It's like it's with me since a long time.
Okay,
I've read
okay,
about it, yes.
okay, okay. So the emotions, we connect with the emotions of that character very beautifully. But whether they actually said it or they said those
It has
words.
been created, maybe.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
do
it
not
has
know.
been created. But yes, beautifully. If we
It
could,
has
if
been
we were to,
interpreted.
if we
It
had to live Yashodhara's story or to tell her story, this is what we could look at it as this, a
yeah, it's
story,
just an
heroine.
interpretation of that period of her life when she had given birth and the father was not there. He has
Yes.
left.
Yes, yes. So Yashodhara is the wife of Gautam Buddha, the great
Gautam Buddha,
Siddhartha. So that is again the stories that are told. Now we have a lot of authors recreating these perspectives.
Yes.
So I came across another story, Utkarsh Patel, who is a folklorist and not a mythologist. He's written the story of Shakuntala. Shakuntala from the, this Mahabharata, there's a character. And it is a eco-feminist retelling of Shakuntala's story also. Savitri
Dushyanta has,
Satyavan. Yes, Savitri Satyavan's story is a heroine's journey. Yes.
yes.
Savitri Satyavan's story is a heroine's journey. Ahalya. Yes. So let me tell you that we are coming up with examples of women. Yes. Even Harry Potter is a heroine's journey. Even the story of Harry Potter is a heroine's journey. Because he starts with his journey is of co-creation. He's not a hero in that sense. He has found community. He has found the people around him. He's built a relationship with himself, with the land, with the animals, with the humans, and he's found a relational courage. He's helped throughout the story. He has helped. So even Harry Potter is a heroine's journey. Yeah. So you see, now you will start seeing that a hero's journey is when the characters have a relationship with all these elements, and their journey is of courage, which comes from relationships. And those are stories that come into the purview of a heroine's journey. So now I'm quickly going to go to the Eco-Heroine. So my workshop is titled Eco-Heroine. Who is this Eco-Heroine? Let me tell you a story. Are you ready for another story? Goalpara. It lies on the foothills of the great mountains in Assam. Lofty trees and dense forests are seen there. And they say that animals and humans live in harmony in that forest. And this story comes to us from a time when animals and humans could understand each other's tongue. In a village in Goalpara lived a humble priest, Jayant, and his wife, Joymala. They lived a peaceful life. He didn't earn much, but his wife managed with whatever he earned to provide everything he needed. She even made thread with the cotton that she found. She wove, she sewed, and she sold that to provide that little extra income for their family. They were a happy family, just the two of them. And living by the forest, they were also close to nature. Every day, Joymala would go to the forest and feed the birds and deers, and sometimes even the elephants would come. One day, the village headman, he died. And his wife, the widow, was anxious, for her daughter was not yet married. And the widow's eyes fell on Jayant. Knowing that Jayant was kind and soft, she decided to entice him with her wealth. She begged and pleaded with Jayant to marry her daughter. Jayant, of course, said, "No, I'm already married." The widow said, "Men have known to marry 2 times. Then Jayant said, "Joymala takes care of every need of mine." The widow, she said, "I can provide you riches that will double all that you need." Of course, when these words were uttered, Jayant succumbed to the carrot. He decided to marry the widow's daughter. He brought a beautiful golden sari and a fish for the feast. He arrived at the widow's house. A fire was lit, and they went around the fire 7 times to complete the rituals. They were made husband and wife. Jayant brought this girl to his house, to that hut by the forest. Seeing this, Joymala's heart was broken. Her every being shattered. But she did not voice. She did not say anything. Words stuck in her throat, and she withdrew into silence. Jayanth and that new wife built a house right next to the old hut, and they lived in that mansion. Every day, Joymala was called to that mansion, given a special spout, a pot with a special spout called a jhari, and asked to fetch water from the river. Every day, Joymala would carry that special pot to the river, and as she stood there, tears would flow down from her eyes. The tears mingled with the water. Down the stream lived a herd of elephants. As the days passed and Joymala's tears mingled with the water, the elephants drinking the water felt the water turn salty. The king of the elephants decided to find out whose tears were making the water salty. He stepped across the river, and there Joymala stood with tears in her eyes and that pot in her hand. "Why do you cry?" he asked. And she told her story. The elephant's heart melted, and it said, "Come, come away with me. Come with me. Human greed knows no limits. They do not know that only nature can give true happiness, and they don't know where to look for that happiness. Come, we will make you a queen. Come with me," he said. Joymala was standing at the edge of that river, unsure what to do, unable to let go of all that she had, all that she knew, a husband, a life. How could she step into that water or climb the elephant? But the river seemed to have made up its mind for her, made up the decision for her. In that instant, the river overflowed its banks and flooded the mansion, the hut, and the village, leaving Joymala standing there with the elephant. The elephant stepped in front of her, lifted her, placed her on its back, turned and walked into the forest. The elephant walked into that mysterious, magical forest, and each step took Joymala away from the life she knew. The forest seemed to shower fruits and flowers on the two of them, and every step was taking Joymala towards a life, a new life. When it reached the center of that forest, the elephant placed Joymala on a golden throne. It sent 7 elephants in 7 directions to fetch 7 waters of 7 different colors. And when the elephants arrived, they poured 7 colored water on Joymala. And the pot with the spout that she held in her hand merged and fused with her face, turning her into an elephant. Joymala became the elephant queen. All the elephants who had gathered there trumpeted in one voice. The Elephant King stood in front of her and said, "Now, Joymala, you are our queen. We will be led by you. Take us where you want us to go." And so saying, all the elephants gathered to follow Joymala deeper into the forest. This is a story that is told in those foothills about how an elephant became the queen. And it is said that from that day onwards, elephants that roam in that forest and in every forest in the world is always led by a cow, by the female elephant. This is a legend that comes to us, an actual folk tale, and it is a heroine's journey. Eco-Heroine's journey. In the Eco-Heroine's journey, the woman or the feminine element transforms into something in the nature, and that's a very big part of the story. This transformation is very important. It's very key. And it informs us that it shows us that we are from nature and we are not apart from nature. We are a part of nature. We are all nature. And in these stories, it helps us reconnect ourselves back through imagination to the land, the people, the animals that occupy this world. Eco-Heroine's journey is reflected a lot in the folk tales that are told, more than mythology. It is there in mythology also. I'm not saying no. But these Eco-Heroine folk tales are the voice of the women. And the journey is about moving away from a wasteland. And that's how the journey begins. In the hero's journey, it is about sorry, I was just sharing the just a minute. I'm just going up. Yeah. So if you just reflect on this story, there is the heroine and there is a wasteland. There is some kind of injustice being done to her. And she has to go away from that injustice. There is an injustice that is happening and she goes away. There is a call. Then there is a transformation. Then she goes on that. The transformation takes her on a deep inner spiritual experience, which I call it spiritual. It's not that sense of divinity associated with spiritual, but it apparently is the connection with your spirit, with yourself. And then you find all the qualities that are buried inside you to restore balance. And then you become the one who, through that experience, shares it. And so that wisdom is enduring. It stays. You give it back. And what is the wisdom that we get from that journey that you wish to share? So this is the Eco-Heroine's journey. I'm going to quickly go to 2 points in the story. The point where she stands on the edge of that river, stepping away from that ordinary life into a magical world. Here is a moment of courage. Do you have a personal story where you took a pause and made a choice to step into a new way of thinking or life. That is the edge of that river. You made a choice to step into a new life. You had the courage. What was that moment? The second moment I want you to look at is when the waters are being poured onto Joymala's head. 7 parts, 7 things from the community that you received that gave you the courage to transform yourself. Again, if you feel you have transformed, which I think all of us can relate to this transformation. So what is it that you received? Is there a story around what you received that gave you courage, the quality that gave you courage to transform? 2 points in this story that enables us to tell a personal story of courage, a personal story of heroism.
Are you going to put us in breakout rooms from here? Here it's.
Yes, I can put you in breakout rooms. But
well, or people can just write.
Yeah, I think it's easier now rather than breakout room. You are welcome to take a moment. There are 2 points. One point is that edge of the river. What is the courage? What are you leaving behind? Sorry, I was disconnected at that time. Yeah. Yes, so now it's your turn to look at these 2 points. Sure, Veena, thank you. Thank you for joining. Thank you, Eileen, for joining. Absolutely, Leena. Beautiful example. Absolutely. So when we start sharing these stories, we can also look at how it transforms the listeners and the tellers.
So, in 2024, can I speak? I'm sorry.
Yes, please.
We chose to tell stories of women for government school girls, Gitanjali. And then we chose different aspects of inspiration of women. And Sudha chose P.T. Usha, coming from this one. And Krishna, she chose Lizzat Papad, unable to get who founded that some Ben, she's Gujarati, very old. She just started a community papad making, and how Lizzat Papad grew entrepreneurial. They didn't have any education and things like that. And Arunima Sinha was whom I chose after she was thrown from the train, snatched her this one, and with the amputated leg, she climbed the Mount Everest. And also Salamrada Timmaka story is another story that I shared. And remembering all these stories of these brave women, these heroines, and seeing them from the lens of eco-feminism, how an adverse movement pushes you to do something more than when you were, completely fine. Especially Arunima in her story. If she was a normal girl without her amputated leg, she would have played some volleyball state level and all that. But her determination grew all the more in adversity, and that is a point to reflect upon.
Absolutely.
And for me too, I know it's a personal story, but when you cross the threshold of 40, you're approaching 45, you're approaching your menopause, you have tried multiple careers, and then you step back, thinking now it is a time for me to think of my daughters and their studies and their careers and all that. And suddenly you stumble into the unknown world of storytelling, and then you venture. I'm following your footsteps, then from storytelling to Buddhist psychology and mindfulness and now into story writing and things like that. So that is a moment of choice and courage. Venturing into the unknown. You don't know what this journey is going to give you back, whether it is emotionally, monetarily, and all that. Yes, when you tell a wonderful story, and whether for adults or for children, and they validate you immediately, what a wonderful story, it's beautiful and all. That momentary happiness for sure is there. But when you think of long-term goals and where are you heading, and then social media is there, you compare with the fellow storytellers or and the benchmarks. Okay, you have to perform at this festival, then you're known as a great student. All these things, there are so many emotions that play into the picture, Soumya, isn't it? And but still you continue on the
That's why
chosen
the
path.
story is not linear. It's
Yeah,
you have to keep revisiting that moment again and again in our life.
yeah.
And each story will take you on that journey. Each story that you encounter takes you again, moves you into that other next. Thank you for sharing, Shri.
So,
Yes, Lena, you want to say something? Yes,
Sowmya,
Eric.
Sowmya, tell again what the two questions were. The first one was if you're on the verge of a decision, what is the
Yes.
decision? And what is that correct?
I'll just so the moment. So 2 moments of personal courage. Share a personal story when you took a pause and made a choice to leave and step into new way of life or thinking. This is the moment that comes to us like Joymala standing on the edge of that river. And the second question is, what is it that you received that gave you the courage to transform? And looking at the transformation that happens because of all the things that you have put into you, the work that you have done, the courage you had to go after, doing something, whatever, going after whatever you are seeking, and how you receive it from the community. It could be going and joining a group, a new music group, and you had the courage to show up and try your hand at stand-up comedy. So it is the heroine's journey is also future oriented in some ways, to look at what you are looking to receive from the community also. We can write a new story for ourselves for the future. So taking from Sri Karuna's point that there's so much of competition, then I've already gone, but can we look at the courage as a very moment? Every moment requires courage. So we are receiving this courage. We are receiving courage from our community moment by moment. And the transformation did not happen like that. Joymala's transformation happened because 7 colors, 7 streams of water were poured on her head. It could be 7, it could be 100. Maybe those are the 7 that you need for your transformation, and are you open to receive it? So it's a very I know it is sounding, it's a very self-reflective exploration of a story, that is for sure. But recently I read a beautiful memoir using the metaphors of a bird in a cage and finding allies and the community, people in the community who helped this bird fly from the cage. There's a beautiful story of an eco-heroine, a memoir. So,
Go
yes,
ahead. Go ahead.
To conclude, before I open it out to all of you, I also told another story in CSF, the Sonal Bai, that eco folktale from Rajasthan. And that story also has a beautiful exploration around mourning and loss and grief, which I thought was too much to do here today. So I shifted the story to Joymala. The Eco-Heroine's journey has many steps. This stories have a universal appeal and demonstrates that stories continue to guide us in our search for identity and fulfillment, no matter what is the culture. And perhaps it's the heroine's journey. And I'll invite you to go on an eco-heroine's journey to write your story, to find your connection with the world around you, and to write your story through those metaphors. Yes. Any thoughts, any comments? Yes.
Yes, I want to mention another model which I know you are familiar with. That is presented in an essay called The Fairy Tale Heroine's Journey by Theodora Goss. And I'll mention that model and ask how it relates to what you've been talking about. But the reason I know that you're familiar with this is that in this story, as I have it online, at the end of it, I've included some notes from you from 9 years ago.
Yes.
So the fairy tale heroine's journey, that model is that a young woman has to leave home and she goes into the forest. And deep in the forest, she finds a hut where a senior woman lives. And the young woman stays with the senior woman and works for her. And the senior woman helps her learn a craft. So eventually, when the parents come to find her, or a young man comes to find her, she is in a position of strength because she has a craft, and she's not dependent to go live in some man's house, because actually the senior woman gives a house to the she transforms in one fairy tale, she transforms the hut into a palace. And says, young lady, you've earned this place through your work. You can invite the young man to stay with you. So here, let me show you the notes that you wrote about this. I have it here that you wrote it 9 years ago.
Yes.
Hold on a second. Share.
That was the heroine's journey.
This is the fairy tale heroine's journey.
Yeah.
It's especially from fairy tales because you know, the fairy tales from Europe and Scandinavia and like Russia and Poland, they all came into existence after Christianity came in. Because when Christianity came in, the worship of local gods and goddesses was suddenly outlawed.
Yeah.
It was considered demon worship.
Yes, yes.
But people loved their stories about their goddesses, and many of those stories were recycled into fairy tales.
Yes.
So the woman who lives in the forest, the senior woman, she has some powers, goddess-like powers. The goddesses were, as I say, recycled into the old woman who lives in the forest with her magic wand or her ability to see the future. That senior woman figure, she's sort of like a Mother Nature. Okay, so you wrote in December 2017 the process that Theodora Goss identified, she's the author of this model, could be used as a questionnaire for the creation of fairy tale flavored healing stories.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes, it was after I did the course with you, Helen.
yes, that's
Story
right.
therapy.
So here are some questions that you might use as prompts to help people create stories.
Yes.
What are some of the gifts that you have received, either you or an imaginary character? Some we are born with, some we receive, a talent or an object that is received. What would this be for you? When did you leave home? This is true for any heroine. As she leaves home, she discovers herself and also sets off on an adventure. The heroine enters dark forests. You know, forests are very symbolic. They are places of danger, but they are also very rich, fertile places. So in the dark forest, are there misfortunes? Are there opportunities? What have been the moments in your life? Finding a temporary home could be a school, a college, a place where you are safe and you can find yourself. Helpers and friends along the way, especially the senior mentor woman. The protagonist finds friends who help her on the way, learning a craft, according to this model, enduring temptations and trials, difficulties. The heroine may be in disguise at some point. She may be temporarily hidden or invisible, even invisible to herself, but she will go through a transformation in which herself is revealed, recognized, revived, and optionally she might find a true partner, which could be representing a part of herself. And then finally she finds her permanent home.
Yes.
So how does all of that relate to the model that the Eco-Heroine model that you've been presenting?
Yes, this Eco-Heroine model has been proposed by Sharon Blackie, another person who's working in the folklore community, and the transformation is key over here, where you identify with with an element from nature, and there the heroine actually is merged into that. So the separation between the nature and the human is blurred. So that is the beauty of these eco-heroine stories. And I'm going away from fairy tales and going into folk tales, because in India we don't really tell fairy tales, and a lot of them are folk tales, but magical element is there. And the thing is, they're all overlapping. It's not like none of it is one way of, like Joseph Campbell's hero's journey is also one way of myth making, story making, and this is another way. And just to make us more aware, and somehow for me personally, as I reconnect with my land, I feel these are the kind of stories that speaks to me. So that is why I have brought this to the workshop in
Yes, the fairy tale, which, as you say, is really indigenous to Europe and all. One idea is that especially the fairy godmothers and the senior women with magical powers, it's a compensation for the fact that men were kind of taking over society and mythology. In India, that didn't happen in the same way. In India, the people are still worshiping goddesses and ancient goddesses. So there was not a need for these fairy tale type stories with the senior women characters who had goddess abilities.
Right, right. Also, the other reason is folk tales are the voice of the people. And many of these folk tales are passed down by the women. So for me, it is the voice of the women. Many of these folk tales are shared. As you know, Eric, even when you went to collect, it is the women who would tell you, many of the women who would tell you these tales. So it is really the voice of the people that is echoed in these stories.
Yes, there is a reason they are called grandmother stories.
Yes.
They are
yes.
not called grandfather stories. It's because telling stories to the young is part of raising a child.
Yes.
And
yes.
traditionally, women have taken the lead in that job.
Yes. So let me finish today's workshop with gratitude. Thank you, Eric, for the space, because it helps me, or it inspires me to explore topics of my interest to me, and I'm happy that there are hello sorry some
It's
issue
okay.
with my Zoom, and I'm happy that we are all connected and resonate, and so many of you attended. If you would like to say a few words or put it in the chat, what you felt or what you're taking back from this workshop, I'll be grateful.
I've put in the chat the link to that essay about the fairy tale heroine's journey, which includes at the end of it your notes from 9 years ago.
Thank you.
So this has been a long-standing interest of yours.
Yes. Any closing words anybody wants to say? It's all time up, I know.
I have a question.
Yes,
In what
please.
category would a story be placed where the person goes through a transformation, but it's not because they're necessarily seeking that transformation, but it's, the work of the Lord in their lives or what have you? In what genre would that story fall?
One approach is that almost every stories in general, involve a character who grows and transforms. That's what we're interested to hear about, because we're interested in our own development and growth and transformation. Transformation means, maturity, coming to realizations and understanding more about ourselves and about life.
Thank you all. Thank you very much. My email is there if anybody has any questions, you can email me. It's on the list that is shared.
Okay, thank you very much,
I put
Sowmya.
my answer for the second question in the chat in case you want to see the responses and save the chat on your laptop.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can we save the chat? How do we save it?
Yeah, you just have to press on the top 3 dots and then it says save chat and it'll get saved on your laptop.
Okay.
Okay, so what shall I do? Shall I put the chat together like next to the recording? Because we'll put the recording in the on YouTube, and then we'll put the link in the festival library. So shall we also put the chat there, or is it Is it more
No,
private?
no,
I don't know.
I'm asking Soumya to save the chat for
I'm
herself so
not
that
able to
when
save
she,
it.
Oh, then just
uh,
send it to Sowmya?
I'll send it to Soumya. No worries.
Okay, okay. Thank you,
Oh,
thank you.
okay, very good. Okay, so now we'll stop the recording.